Testing, testing. Hey everybody, how are you doing? Testing, testing. Oops. Feedback. Feedback
Hey
from
everybody,
that one.
how are you doing?
Testing, testing. I think I'm broadcasting. Let me work this out. Let me just work out a few things. I've really made this overcomplicated, haven't I? I'm going to wait for a few comments to come in and see if everything's working all right.
Made this overcomplicated, haven't I?
Yeah, I think
I'm going to wait for a few
right
comments
now
to
we're
come
broadcasting
and
on
see if everything's working
YouTube
all right.
and Periscope, and where most of you are on Facebook.
Right now we're broadcasting.
So it's I've really Periscope, and where most of you are on Facebook.
Only for a second.
Okay, Michaela's saying it's replaying me. Oh, hold on a minute. I think I might have known what's going on. Still loads of feedback. Okay. Hold on a sec, everyone. I think I've worked out what's going on. Oh, what a nightmare. I'm just going to have to wait 10 seconds and see how it works and see if that's better. Okay, we got a thumbs up. We got a thumbs up from my producer, Michaela. I have really made this overcomplicated, haven't I? I've got 3 screens in front of me: a microphone, a HD camera, lights, and I've gone overboard, and I can't operate them all. I see a lot of people they live stream just from a phone, and they're walking around Lidl, and they're talking away on their phone. And I really wish I had done that in the end. So if next week you see me walking around Lidl with my phone, and I'm in the freezer section talking about property in Cyprus, you know I've ditched a lot of this. What a nightmare. But you know, a few months ago, I was actually going to have a green screen behind me. so I have uncomplicated it. I was going to have a newsroom, and then click my fingers and I'm in Cyprus, or I'm up on a space station. But I think it's working now. All the comments. Thank you for everyone for saying all that. A lot of feedback, says Derek. Hi, Connor, from Jeff. Hi, Derek. Standing by, and there's quite a few people watching already. So if I wasn't nervous already, I am now. Listen, it's Tuesday, the 4th of December. This is my 5th live stream, and what I'm going to cover tonight. I want to cover the fallout from the last show, and then I want to do an appeal for information called Show Me One, and that's going to be show me one British person who has ever got justice in Cyprus. Mainly I want to talk about other victims. I want to talk about the correspondence I've had coming in since going live 3 weeks ago, and as I do that, I want to discuss an article in Cyprus Property News called "Is It Safe to Buy Property in Cyprus?" And I'll slot in some stories within that. Then I want to do another appeal, and this time it'll be an appeal for people who are suffering under the Swiss franc mortgage scandal. So I'm going to do an appeal on behalf of those people. And then I want to do an update on my situation, give you a little update on my latest. So that's where we're at. Let's have a look. Okay. Fallout. Well, last time I was here, I spoke for 91 minutes, which was a very long time speaking off the cuff. Ranting away. We could have all watched a movie together, but within that, I did a piece where I compared crooked property developers and estate agents in Cyprus. I compared them to Harvey Weinstein, and my comparison said that the rest of the industry all covered up, knowing who this bad guy was. And I was talking about my developer, Karianis. And I got a lot of fallout from that, from the property industry. believe it or not. Estate agents and developers, they contacted me using my secured and anonymous way of doing that. Let me show you that. If I just go to Browser Small Me, I've got a little contact page here on Beyond Contempt, and there people can contact me securely and anonymously. If you make a Proton Mail account, you can be anonymous as you contact me. So they did that, the property industry, and took issue with what I had to say. Now, mainly, people were saying that had they known about my developer Carianus back in the day, they would have taken him off the books and they would have done something to help me out. So they didn't know. So all those banners, those protests, those websites, I think over 60 articles in the news, wasn't enough. They didn't know. But it's quite disarming when someone says, I would have helped you, but I didn't know. So I had to go back and forth a few times in correspondence. And I can... It did deteriorate to, don't tar us all with the same brush. But Michaela and I thought, there's something we can do about that. Now, obviously, the first thing we can do is make sure that as we go into our appeals in the spring and to the inevitable European Court of Human Rights, that everyone does know what happened to us, how our developer sold the same house twice and how he assaulted me and he got away with the lot. So I will make sure that we don't fall for that again and shout louder. That will help. But also what we're going to do, let me just get the water. What we're going to do is I'm going to do a page on my website, Beyond Contempt. And it's going to be like an open letter to the President or the Minister of Justice, the Attorney General, and maybe some industry bodies too. And we'll ask my lawyer to write this letter, so it'll be in Greek as well as English and professionally written and not a rant like I would do. But it will be like a petition where the letter will be at the top, and then we, the undersigned, agree to the contents of this letter. And the letter will basically say that we think it's very wrong that a developer can sell the same house twice. That he can, if the first purchaser has given over money, has registered the contract in the land registry, that it should be a criminal offence, which it is, to sell the same house twice. And that if any developer is caught doing that, then the full weight of the law should come down on that developer, and that damages should be given to that purchaser, no matter if he is a British person. All right, that's my rant. But we'll have a little space at the bottom there, and every single member of the property industry, developers, estate agents, lawyers, whoever, government industry, you can put your letter to, you can put your name to that, and then that will really help me out going forward. And it won't help in the appeal, but I think then if I'm on here on Facebook on a forum, and an estate agent says, "Oh, this is bad," well, I'll just say, "Can you put your name to the letter?" So I think that will sort that one out. The other type of letter I got from the industry, well, one in particular, really, it went back and forward a few times, and it was a lady. Well, she never identified herself as a lady, but it was an estate agent, and it was a salesperson. I imagined it was a lady just because they were ladies who introduced me to my developer, and probably some of the things she said within the correspondence led me to believe it was a lady. But it was an estate agent, and she didn't like the way I was saying that she was used as a honey trap for potential victims in Cyprus for for crooked developers in Cyprus. And in the Harvey Weinstein case, I said that there was people who worked for Harvey Weinstein who knew that what he was like, and they lured young actresses up to hotel rooms where he was in the shower, and you know, they knew what was going on. And I said that the people in Cyprus, these estate agents were saying, oh, you know, buy over here, we'll all be friends, we go drinking on the beach, all our kids will go to the same schools. And in reality, they knew that what they were selling were some crooked developers, some crooked lawyers. And to this lady, it went back and forth a few times. But here up on the screen are just some of what I collected today. And it's the usual rubbish. And it goes from a place in the sun downward, up there at the top in orange, that purchasing a property in Cyprus is based on English law. And that's pretty much repeated with every developer and every estate agent over there in Cyprus. And they know it's bull crap. So to this lady, if you believe that you are the good one, and that no one on your books, be it developers or lawyers, have ever done any wrong to any British clients, then congrats. But if you do think you know some bad guys, the Harvey Weinstein people, they didn't have the Harvey Weinstein staff didn't have any place that they could turn to whistle blow on this slug of a man. But I just want to reassure you that you do, and that if you do know of a crook, please contact me securely and anonymously, and together let's try and weed out the bad guys. And talking about bad guys or girls, on my last stream I also covered Andrew Claides, now Adriana Claides, and I was contacted by another person who has a story to tell about this barrister. As you know, this barrister represented me and then went on to represent the opposition in the same case. Well, somebody else who has escaped Cyprus, they're over here now, and they want to tell their story about this barrister, Claides. And in the new year, I'm going to sit down with this person and they're going to tell their story. Now, I gave a little exercise into due diligence last time, and all the names here of Claides, these are all names that have come up on the CY Law database. And this is what I have to type in when I'm doing my due diligence about this barrister. Now, I just want to say that if you're buying property in Cyprus, it's very important that you get your developer to write down all the names of all the businesses that he's involved with. Because you may think you're dealing with, you know, Bad Developer and Sun Limited, but they've also got Bad Developers and Sun Limited Apartments, Bad Developer and Sun Limited Rentals, Lettings. They've got several different names, so it's very important that when you do business with somebody in Cyprus, you get them to write down all the names that they operate under. And if you can, then, you know, they won't do this in conveyancing for you over there, but, you know, try and get the accounts for those businesses. Because if they haven't paid their tax in 10 years, they're really not going to build the road for you outside, and you're going to have a title deeds problem later down the line. I mean, here in the UK, if you haven't paid your tax in 2 years, the government will shut you down. over there, these things go on for years and years, if not decades, and in the end, it's the customer that suffers. But if you Google any of these names on this barrister Cleides into the CY Law database, you'll see more often than representing a client, he's fighting, defending himself for tax reasons. So it's never a good sign. Talking about change of names. Last time I covered this lady. Her name is Angela Socrates. And she worked for Cleides, my barrister, and then she tried to walk into my case with this written statement and read it out and perjure herself. She didn't get that far. She left the court building. But I didn't hear anything from her or Cleides or Marion Carter, who she works for. But I did hear from other people, and I'd like to thank you for letting me know that she's now on Facebook under Angela Williams. So maybe she's had a change of marital status. But you can see there, Angela Williams works at the law office of Marion Carter in Larnaca. And then if you look at Angela Williams' friends and search for Marion, her boss, the only Marion she's a friend of is Marion House. And Marion House, that's Marion Carter there on the left, but there's two people in the profile. I've blurred the other one out. But Marion House is showing there that her website is Marion J. Carter, which is her business, where, as you see in the final paragraph there, she draws up hundreds of wills for clients in Cyprus. So she's still on her website, Marion Carter. I've no idea if that's the same lady, Marion House, but considering that her and Angela Williams, Socrates, I get confused, are now named in a court case where they're being sued by beneficiaries of a will. It's worth working out what's going on. I'm thirsty tonight. Right. Just want to thank everyone for all the correspondence over the last 3 weeks. I think I'm on top of everything. If I haven't responded to you, I might have overlooked your comment or question. I was hit. I published on Facebook, on forums, and I was also dealing with email as well. And if I haven't answered you by now, could you? And it's important, or you think, oh, that's a bit rude, Connor. Can what did I say wrong? Could you please contact me again? I think I'm on top of everything. And recently, I just noticed that there was a whole hidden folder on Facebook called a filtered message folder. And if we weren't friends on Facebook, it would have gone into this folder. And I only just discovered that, and I discovered some messages going all the way back to 2011. So I was absolutely furious with Facebook for that. There's a filtered message folder on Facebook, and if you're not friends, all your previous girlfriends and boyfriends and school friends, all the messages have been are in there. Hunt it out. But listen, if you do contact me and you'd like me to tell your story here, and I'm more than happy to do that, could you do me a favour and in the first part of the letter, could you say the full story of what happened and name the names and everything that happened to you? But then could you write a little bit below that and say what I can actually say on camera? Because it kind of like I'm going back and forth and I'm saying, can I say that you lived in this area and your developer did this or something, and it's kind of time consuming. So if you can let me know your full problem and then say, Connor, could you just say this? And even if it's just I've been waiting 20 years for my title deeds and I fully support you, then I'll say that. Okay. Alrighty. Now listen, as I want to talk about some of the people who've contacted me, but in doing so, oh no, before I do that, hold on, before I do that, I've got to talk about Show Me One. All right. Show Me One. In my first 2 videos, everyone knows I'm doing 6 videos. Regular listeners will know I'm doing 6 videos that I'm calling a foundation course of buying property in Cyprus and all the pitfalls, and I'm giving you insight into my cases. Now, the first 2, the white one there at the top was called an introduction to Beyond Contempt. The second one was Cyprus silenced in court, of how the press are shut out and why this channel is important. Within them 2 videos, I said a few times that in my 13-year experience, I don't know anyone, any Brit, who has ever got justice in Cyprus. Not once, in the 13 years that I've been following this. Now, I expected a lot of people to pick me up on that. And then for the last 3 weeks, I've been talking to lawyers, my lawyer, other lawyers, estate agents, developers, and, you know, some people of influence over there in Cyprus, within the expat community. And I've been saying, can you show me one British person who has ever got justice in court in Cyprus? Now let's just isolate that. By justice, I don't mean someone who's won a court case. I've won court cases, but I've never got justice. I've won against my developer, but I've got no compensation for what he's done. Now imagine if somebody in Cyprus wrongs you for, say, I'm just going to pull it out of thin air, 50,000 euros, all right? So you're taking him to court for that 50,000 euros. Well, we know that it's going to take 6 to 7 years before your case is finished in the lower courts in Cyprus, in the district courts. And spoilers, no one's won. No, every case against a foreigner has to be appealed. So anyway, all right. 6 years in the lower courts, and then another 6 or 7 years to wait for your appeal at the Supreme Court. So a court case takes 13 years for us Brits in Cyprus. Now, giving you back your 50,000 after 13 years is not justice. That's, yeah, you've won the case, but you haven't got justice. It's probably taken, that 50,000, it's probably taken up to 120,000 by that time in damages. You got, you know, your legal fees. You got your fees for attending court. You got interest. You've got a lot of expenses on top of that. It's not as simple as giving you your money back, which is what's happened to me and others. Now, I've asked everyone I know now, and I've just corresponded with hundreds. Can you show me one person, one Brit, who has ever got justice in a court in Cyprus? And I've expanded this from not just property cases, but medical malpractice or assaults, or even a traffic offence, you know, run over by a car. Has anyone ever won and got justice in Cyprus? And no one has said, yes, Connor, I know of this case. So I'm throwing it out there now before I go live on Twitter and engage the High Commission and the Cyprus Mail. That last video I did, 1,200 people watched it. All right? I don't know how long for, but there's a lot of people watching this. Could you all ask yourselves and your lawyers, we all got lawyers over there, do you know one Brit or even a Russian, a foreigner, who has ever got justice in Cyprus. Just show me one. All right? Because I think there's something very wrong, very sinister going on over there. And it's, you know, it's not just us. If 13 years of a court case doesn't have the chilling effect on you not starting, what about us who have gone 13 years and we still haven't got justice? So I'm just starting that now. Show me one. And if anyone knows in the live stream right now, they know of one, please put it up. A link, if you can. All right. Let me just take this water. Boy, have I been talking half hour already. Oh, my God. I do go on, don't I? Okay. I just want to talk about this article. It appeared in the Cyprus Property News just over a week ago now. Is it safe to buy property in Cyprus? And I'd like to quickly go through this article now, and then within it, talk about some of the people who have contacted me over the last 3 weeks, because a lot of them want to remain anonymous. They're still in the clutches of their developer. They haven't got their title deeds. They can't speak out. Or they've got court cases still going on, so they can't really talk. But if I can just briefly read parts of this article and a few of the comments below, a lot of what people have been saying comes into this. So the article is it safe to buy property in Cyprus? And I'll read out just these first two paragraphs. Although changes to the law in recent years have helped to reduce the risks when buying property in Cyprus, significant problems still remain in cases where properties are purchased for which no title deeds have been issued. Where no title deeds have been issued for a property being purchased, depositing the sale agreement at the Land Registry Office prevents the vendor from selling the property to someone else. However, a small number of cases have been reported where contracts have been removed from the land registry and the property sold to a third party. Well, thank you to the owner and editor, Nigel Howarth, who in the first paragraph is given a nod to my situation there. This is an article he's linking to 2007, property scandal set to rock Cyprus market to the core, and he's talking about me back then and my case. Thanks for that, Nigel. But there are other things. He does actually mention that contracts have been removed from the land registry. So there are other people, but my contract was never removed from the land registry. That was an unlawful occupant who took up residence, although Karianis always said that the house was never sold, even though it was, the lying builder. Yeah, the house was sold, even though I was still in the land registry. Okay, that's that. Okay, for time reasons, I will skim. This is an interesting part about the certificate of approvals, and that no case has ever been brought in the 20 years. The editor is talking about no case has ever been brought against anyone who has taken up residence without a certificate of approval. That's interesting. This part here, though, is really important. And this is where most of the people who have contacted me fit into this category. And so if I can read this one out in full. It says, further problems arise when developers fail to complete developments, leaving roads, pavements, green areas, etc. unfinished. In these cases, it is the hapless buyers who have to pay for any outstanding work to be completed before they can get clean title deeds. And in some cases, the planning infringements may be so severe that title deeds may never be issued. And I've had dozens of people contact me who are saying that they are having to pay now to complete their development. They are before they can get their title deeds. And there was one couple, I'm allowed to read out, that they bought property in Ayathekla in 2003, and they were supposed to have their title deeds within 18 months of completion. There's still no title deeds in sight 15 years on. They found out that the development was not built in accordance with planning permission, and all the residents have been told that they will have to pay $15,000 each to complete the road, so that they can sell their properties. Now, they went up. In fact, this is the reason why this couple contacted me, because of what was said in my first video. They went to their developer recently, and they said that they're going to, they were complaining about what he's done to them. And this developer is quite elderly now. I mean, they bought 15 years ago. And he laughed in their face and he said, "Take me to court. That is your right." And they know perfectly well that not only will he not survive the 13-year process, but neither will they. Now, my developer, he was contracted to give me my title deeds within 4 years, but of course that was the least of his lies. But somebody came out in the open. I think people are getting braver now. They wouldn't have done this in the old days, but they came out and they said on a forum, they said, "I remember your story. I bought from the same developer. Nothing but problems since. I've been looking to get my title deeds. The project was never finished, which means that you only get deeds and notes, which means that the house is unsellable and no bank will lend against it. The developer in question has done zero to finish the project, the road, despite charging for it. Anyhow, minor compared to what you've gone through. Wishing you all the best." Thanks to them. So that seems to be the biggest problem still in Cyprus, is the title deeds issue. Now, if I can just go through some of the comments here, because quite often, I mean, as good as Nigel's as good as Nigel's articles are, and the articles in the Cyprus Mail, sometimes you get the real, people go quite far in the comments, although they obviously have to be moderated. But Dave D says that he's been waiting 13 years now for his title deeds, and I think he's saying it's all lies. John Turner, "I bought in 2006, received my deeds in 2009. That's good. Although I had problems with the developer trying to rip me off for removable property tax. He wanted $6,000 for what should have been a 500 bill. Now, I know other people who have also been charged. I mean, it seems to be 5,000 seems to be the magic number people are flying around. But a lot of developers even want paying this now in cash. And it's just extortion. And, there's a lot of extortion going on there. Even lawyers, estate agents, and the developers themselves, all wanting just 5,000 here, there, everywhere, as if we're all just cash cows, there to be milked. And obviously there's no legal recourse. What are you going to do? You're going to sue them for that? Sue them for $5,000? 13 years of your life? Okay. Okay, I'll just skim. There are unscrupulous people. This guy, no clean title, walk away. Only buy resale with title deeds. I think Costas had a specific thing there for his parents, and Nigel helping out there. 13 years, I think that's the same Dave D. Do not buy property in Cyprus. We have one near Ayia Napa. We've had it for 20 years. The builder conned my parents, no deeds given. Also, the builder put a secured loan against the land. My father paid cash for the house. He's now passed away. A lot of people inheriting the problems. The beneficiaries will suffer in the end. And I tell you, now here's the thing, and I've got to be careful what I say here. What's the perfect crime? The perfect crime is when a victim doesn't know he's a victim. Now, there's people watching this, all right, whose house has been sold in Cyprus. Beneficiaries have sold the house, the estate, and that house did not sell for what you got. All right, it sounds I'm dancing around the issue here. All right, in the UK, if you sell a house, you can go on, I think it's upmystreet.com, and you can see how much that house was sold for. It's not like that in Cyprus. Some people don't even know they're victims. They think their house, say, sold for 200,000, when really it sold for 240, 250, and that money was skimmed off the top. That's all I'm going to say for now. But if they haven't screwed you going in Cyprus, sometimes they'll screw you going out, and you won't even know it. All right. Some estate agents just had a heart attack. Okay. Let's just skim a few more here. No, I'd say don't buy. Our house was finished and paid for in 1990. What? They're still waiting for deeds? Oh dear. Okay. No clean title, no deeds. Okay, you get the picture. I will move on. This was a really interesting one, though. This was this guy wrote a thing, and I think he's been waiting 13 years for his deeds. But he also mentions here that his first lawyer has been the only lawyer struck off and censored for poor behaviour. And I think Nigel addressed this above, because no lawyer has ever been struck off for what he's done to a British person. I think what he's meaning is that he's been struck off of our own British High Commission list. But we'll come on to what a lawyer can and can't do against a British person in Cyprus. But he'll certainly never be struck off. All right, on the balance, buying property in Cyprus is a no from some people, but I'll give my opinion at the end. All right, how are we doing for time? I do apologise. I'm going to have to move on. Okay, as well as I've been contacted, obviously, by a lot of other people. Some people in the Pasuri village contacted me, and if you don't know this, please go to my website, and there's a video there all about these people in a dreadful state where a landslip, like a movement of land due to sort of earthquakes and stuff, has absolutely wrecked a load of houses in a village, and they're mainly British residents, and they're in a really bad way. And when I go over to Cyprus, I'd like to meet these people in person and maybe cover their story a bit better. But what's striking to me about this is that the government is responsible for paying these people compensation. No insurance is going to cover you for natural disasters like that, and it's the government who should pay. Now, can you imagine? All right, this 70,000 Cypriot-born citizens residing here in the UK. Can you imagine if a village of them, was affected? We don't have earthquakes, but maybe it was falling into the sea by erosion or something. They would be up in they'd be up in the House of Commons. You'd have the opposition party, brought them all in. They'd all be in the House of Commons as questions are being read out, as the government is shamed. You'd have lawyers falling over each other, human rights lawyers wanting to act for these people on pro bono, and see them right. But these poor British people in Cyprus, they're in absolute bits. And they have been for 6-7 years, and they're just about to start now, I think, legal proceedings against the government. So that'll be another 13 years. you know. So that's Pasuri village. If you want to see how the Brits are treated over in Cyprus and what your worth is, just have a little look around that village, and you'll find out even when the government is has to do something, they won't. Leptos. I first knew about Leptos, way over a decade ago. Actually, below me there are some of the earliest headlines. Leptos are rarely out of the news and the headlines. And yeah, when the Cyprus Property Action Group was formed, there was also a Leptos Buyers Action Group, and there was a lot of people back then complaining about their title deeds. They had a big march about title deeds, and there were some planning issues that are still going on there. All the headlines to the left of the screen there, most of them are from this year, and it's all about Coral Bay and the sea caves in Paya, all around the Paphos area of Cyprus. But I knew them as a title deeds issue. And then, of course, Leptos tried to silence the Cyprus Property Action Group. They took out a lawsuit against Dennis O'Hare, the founder, and tied him up in litigation. So right at a time where I needed the Cyprus Property Action Group and their website and their support, they were silenced by Leptos. But after going live, I was contacted some people who are still struggling with Leptos, and they thought I was sorted, and I thought they were sorted. But no, we're still plugging on. So when I go over to Cyprus again, I'd like to visit some of them people and cover that what's going on there a lot more, especially if you're still waiting for your title deeds. I know Leptos bought a company about 18 years ago now, and that company, I don't know if it was a record, but some people were waiting for their title deeds for 40 years. But Leptos aren't to blame for what was going on in the 60s. But they've owned that company now for about 18 years, and it would be shocking if these people are still waiting for their title deeds. I think they are. But I think it's really wrong that some of these places are still selling off-plan property now in our property shows, and they haven't sorted out the title deeds for these people. So since going live, a lot of people have been saying to me, Connor, are we going to protest again? This was a protest with myself and a lot of Alpha Panaretti and Alpha Bank victims at a place in the sun in Earl's. No, this wasn't Earl's Court. This was in Birmingham, the NEC in Birmingham. This one, and when we were there, obviously we were upsetting a lot of developers. Here is a developer to the left coming to the picket line complaining, and that's me there. So then we were talking to him about it, and he eventually got pushed away by the police and security and told to go back in the hall. Now, a lot of people are saying, are we going to do this again? And I don't know if we have to. Because if you remember, when I went live 3 weeks ago, I just did a 2-minute and 20-second video where I was just giving a little summary of my situation. And that, I'm glad to say now, if you can look there, it says that it's 11,600 people were reached with that video, with 1,700 engagements. I think that means people have either commented, pressed play, so they've actually watched that. And I only spent £20 on that advertising. I stopped advertising because I couldn't deal with any more correspondence or fallout from that. So I don't think we have to protest again. But I'm open to it if it was a a day where we did two things. Maybe if we went to a pub afterwards, I do like a pub. If we went to a pub afterwards and we all talked about something else, maybe some of you all with the Swiss franc mortgage problems could all sort of have another sort of meeting. So if we protested in the morning and then had a sort of a lawyers meeting or something in the afternoon, that would be good. But otherwise, I don't think people need to fly down from Scotland and spend overnight weekends. We just need 20 quid and a few well-placed tweets, and we could probably reach the same amount of people. Right, a minute. Okay, next was other people I was contacted was some people from the Leptis scandal. That was a developer that went bust in about 2007, and I know that a lot of the last article here on Cyprus Property News about it was from March 2016, where the Alpha Bank is still going after people who've paid for their properties for the sins of the developer who went bust, owing millions to the bank. And I was contacted by some people from this scandal. And if you think that the banks are ever going to give up on you, they never will. They're still, there's some people who've bought from Leptis, back in 2002, 2003, and they're still living a nightmare. So they've been in touch. Now listen, let's start to end this. I just want to talk now about all the people who are involved in the Swiss franc mortgage scandals contacting me. Now, there's a lot of people who are in joint legal campaigns, and they can't really talk about what's going on, what's happening, because they'll get booted out by their legal representatives. But some people are contacting me, and everyone wants to know how many people have settled, what the actual deal is with the banks, and they're kind of asking if I can be a go-between. So if you have settled with your Swiss franc mortgage scandals with the bank, could you send me a message again using my website? You can contact me securely and anonymously, and do everyone a favor and say, look, you don't have to give your names, but just say what happened. Did you do a deal for 5%, 10%, 20%? Did you get anywhere? And then I can pass it on to other people who have contacted me securely and anonymously. There's a lot of people in real dire straits. They're in abusive relationships now with their lawyers. They've been paying into these, this joint litigation for years, and I've seen some of the correspondence, and it's quite foul. They have to pay, some people have to pay hundreds a month to keep up in these groups, and some people have actually just paid tens of thousands, and they're getting absolutely nowhere. So if you have settled, could you let me know? And actually, if anyone does know, the other question is, does anyone know of any bank or any one developer that has chased assets in this country? Could you also let me know that as well? Because a lot of the lawyers are saying, oh, if you don't keep up all this, then they're going to go after you. And it could all be rumours. So just get in touch. And there are some people in some very dire situations who are desperate, and they've contacted me. And I it'd be nice going into Christmas to just let them know the truth. There's that. Okay, look, I'm just going to quickly now say where I'm at. As you know, everyone, I'm waiting for my appeal in Cyprus. My case will turn 13 years old in the spring. I think it's in March. My case will turn 13 years old. Now, my appeal number is 435/2012, and every week I do this little exercise to see where I'm at with my appeal. I go to the CY Law database. I don't even have to translate it all now. I then look to see the case numbers of what is coming up. And let me just show you something right here. If I just do a quick search, Control F, 477. Okay. So as you see, my case number is 435/2012. But you can see here that in September, the 7th of September, published on that day, was the results for case number 477, way after mine, 2012. All right, so the abuse of the British doesn't stop with, your developer, your lawyers. It goes all the way through to the judiciary, and even case management is not done on a case-by-case basis. You can quite clearly say here it's done on a race-by-race basis. So my appeal is well overdue. So I've been chasing that with my lawyer. It's even worse than what I've just showed you there. If I just show you this, 43/2012. Okay, sorry. 2013. Sorry. You can actually see. All right. That just a few days, a month ago, case number 43 of 2013 has been gone through the courts. Now, this is the date that the verdict is published. I haven't even been called to court. I haven't got a future date. Never mind the proceedings. Never mind the 3 months it then takes for the verdict to get published. All right? I'm a year at least behind all these other cases. But I've been told, now here's a prediction. I've been told by other people who have been through this sort of thing that they're going to lose my file. Now, I hope by saying this prediction now, and I'm calling it, all right, on Tuesday, the 4th of December, 2018, I'm going to tell you now that they are going to lose my file in Cyprus. And I hope by saying that now, they're not going to lose my file. But if I hadn't said that, that's what they would do. All right. But I'm at the moment I'm chasing for my legal aid, which as you know, I was awarded all the way back in 2011, and that was never paid. So at the moment I'm chasing for that. I'm chasing for my court date. I'm chasing for all my expenses for court to be paid. That's what I'm up to. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just end by just showing you this again, because I won't do another live stream now unless I get some pushback from Cyprus, just for a week, maybe two, unless I've got something really important to say. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on these videos, because I can say on recorded videos to YouTube quite succinctly, better than this sort of waffling out. And I really want to get this this third video out called Court Transcripts in Cyprus, because it's probably the most important video in the series, and I've had to give a lot of spoilers out to people who are going through the courts at the moment. So I really want to get that one recorded and get that out to you. I think that's everything. Let me just go through my notes and make sure I haven't forgotten anything important. No, I think that's it. I can't believe it. I've gone over double what I thought I was going to do. Thank you for staying with me. If I do hear anything in the next few days, any pushback from any of this, I will come back on live stream. But if not, I'm going to continue with the other videos. And what I'm going to do, these long videos, I'm going to put up on my website. I'm going to chop down all the little bits. So say like I was just talking about Swiss franc mortgages, or if I was talking about Claides, I'm going to make smaller videos out of these bigger videos, make it into a grid on my website, and then people will be able to go back and forth through there. But listen, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you all have a great evening. Don't have nightmares. I'm going to try and shut this down gracefully now, which is a little bit different from my last time. Yeah, I think I've got the off button. Thanks very much. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.